Welcome, everybody, to the new episode of We Are Crotchety Old Men.
And a woman.
Arden, unfortunately, is not feeling very well today, so I probably will do most of the talking. And I thought we'd get started with a nice instrumental beach music, because at the end of the show, we're going to go over our fantastic trip to St. Thomas. We returned late last night. And Arden, like I said, is toughing this through with this cold, but I'm sure it's going to be a great show. So just remember, this podcast is with you, for you, and sometimes about you.
Nice job.
How did I do, Arden? Was that good?
Nice job.
All
Sounds
right.
awesome. Unlike me, I sound like I don't know what I sound like.
Okay, so let's get this thing underway. Today is a National Food Day, obviously, for any food. But for today, it is pecan or pecan.
Pecan? National Pecan Day? Pecan Day?
National Pecan Day. So
Sounds a little snobby when people say Pecan Day.
pecan. What do we like better?
I like pecan.
All right. Guess what? I don't like it. Meaning I don't like pecans.
So you're not a fan of pecan pie or pecan pie?
No.
What about pecan sandies or pecan sandies?
The bottom line is I don't like pecans, so why would I eat anything with them?
All right, so let's not talk about them then. Let's jump right into history.
All right. Arden's going to go over several days in history now, and we're going to start off with 1775.
In 1775, now first that was before the Declaration of Independence was even signed. Was the beginning of the first abolitionist society found in the colonies. So we still had the Revolution to get through, and we also had the Civil War to start. But abolitionists started to fight for slaves' rights way back then. So I found that pretty fascinating.
That is, because another fascinating piece of history today happened in 1865.
Which was indirectly a direct result. Is that possible? Indirectly a direct result?
If you say so,
Okay,
Arden.
I'm thinking it is. John Wilkes Booth shot President Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater, and he didn't die immediately. He did live for a day or two, but when he did die, it was the first time we had an assassinated president in a while, and we haven't had that many since, thank God. But it changed the history, because who knows what would have happened if he was able to serve a second term, because he would have probably brought the states back together faster.
I think so. But that certainly was a tragic era in the U.S. history, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, and I think that also ended the big top hat.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Out of everyone that's been shot that's a politician, he was the most relevant politician.
He had the most influential person as far as U.S. history that was assassinated. I mean, Kennedy was assassinated, but different time, different world. It was more of the international significance.
Again, whatever you say, Arden. Again, now let's move on to 1960. What happened? Actually, I'm sorry. We're going to go through 1910 first.
1910. Please give the big man a chance. President Taft, one of our heftier presidents, loved baseball, and he became the first president to ever throw out the ceremonial first pitch at a baseball game. Usually the presidents used to go, and even back then there was the Washington Senators were around. So it was just, a short jaunt from the White House, and the president would throw the first ball out.
All right, I got to interrupt here. We all know I have to believe that President Joe Biden did not do that
He did not.
because he probably wouldn't have made it halfway to the plate. And at the end of the day, I guess his people told him, don't, don't,
Yeah,
don't.
so that's where he got that from. I was wondering about
I
that.
think so.
Yeah, I don't know if Trump threw one out. I don't think he did. But,
That's because they wouldn't allow him. They disrespected him.
well, Barack Obama did something kind of rude at his. He was wearing a Washington Nationals jersey, but put on a Chicago White Sox hat. I think that was kind of rude. But there's only one president that could throw out a first pitch. And let's not forget when um, George W. Bush came out after 9/11 threw a perfect strike right before the World Series. That's still one of my all-time greatest moments in sports.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. What happened in 1960?
Well, staying in the sports world, something that has not happened since in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens won their fifth consecutive Stanley Cup championship. Some other teams have gotten four in a row, but no one else has since gotten that fifth in a row. And now with salary cap and everything, ain't gonna happen again.
I have to agree with you, Arden. Then in 1986, one of my favorite presidents did something. What did he do?
Ronald Reagan authorized the use of force and had bombs attack the terrorist leader Muammar Gaddafi. Now, there is some sad tones, and he did get a lot of flack back because Gaddafi's children were wounded, and the guards and other terrorists were killed. But it led Gaddafi to stop going after nuclear weapons. He decided I just almost lost everything. He later was killed.
I was
years
about to
later.
say, he was like killed in a mean way.
Yeah, he died later, a long time after, but he took himself off the chessboard, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. But essentially, he gave up nukes, right?
Trying to get them. He decided he literally he looked at his family. I know one of his daughters had her arms blown off, and he just was like, "No, what am I doing?"
Well, just 2 years later, this may have kicked it off, but what happened in 1988, Arden?
This was the day the Soviets officially starting their withdrawal from Afghanistan. They didn't leave millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment, but I mean, they lost hundreds of thousands of troops there. We may never know how many people that they lost. I actually interviewed a couple people that fought for the Afghans. And one of my pretty amazing story, this one young kid, now he was a full adult, said how his grandfather was shooting a 1918 World War One musket at helicopters flying over him from the caves, and he himself was throwing rocks at tanks.
Wow.
And he told me these stories, and I was like, wow, that's like they just stood up. But what they did, they won. So like the least equipped force on Earth was able to defeat one of the most powerful nations on Earth. And we should have learned our lesson from that too.
Yeah, but again, what happened after that?
Well, that was one of the first moves of actually the collapse of the Soviet Union, and which led to the fall of the Berlin Wall just a few years later. And well, sadly now we have another wackadoodle out there who is trying to bring the Soviet Union back.
Okay. Well, Arden, I know that was tough to get through, but you did. Our next segment is, what I love, but a lot of it Wayne will have to cover. And again, we're proud that he's moving on with this podcast. So, first look is at the NCAA basketball finals. He wanted me to talk about men first because, as I said, I think he's a bit sexist when it comes to women.
Well, also, I actually don't even know who played in the men's game. I know who played in the women's game
Okay.
because you made me watch it.
In the men's game, sadly, I missed most of it, but not so sad. I was on vacation. Apparently, it was UConn against Purdue.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think it was close as far as the score goes by the end of the game. But again, I didn't watch it. But I certainly watched the women's final, which was on Sunday afternoon, against um, Iowa was playing the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Oh, so you do know their name. So would you call them the Lady Gamecocks or the Lady Cocks?
Arden, what am I going to do with you?
But I'm sorry, it's their name. It's perfectly right. I could have called them the Lady Roosters, but that would have been sexist.
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry.
there's a couple things to discuss as sidebar notes. In that the Gamecocks did win the championship. I was not happy because I was pulling for Iowa. But you will never guess what happened in the press briefing.
What happened in the press briefing?
The head coach from South Carolina, for some reason, I didn't see the whole clip, said she would condone transgender athletes to play in the NCAA basketball forum. Isn't that hard to believe, Arden?
So she'd be okay with a man joining the Lady Cocks. I'm sorry, I had to go there.
All right.
So that would have actually been an actual lady cock.
Okay. So let me just tell you, Arden, the next fact is totally the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. And that is, for the first time in history, the ladies' final drew more than the men's. They took in 18.7 million viewers, peaking at 24 million. Now, let me tell you something, Arden. Nobody used to give a rat's ass about the women's game. But this game was powerful. And again, I give the credit to Caitlin Clark.
It sucks that she didn't win, though.
It does. I was very disappointed, but she's going to be number one in the draft. And, she may not be as good. I mean, she'll be dealing with higher level class of athletes. But if she can shoot those threes from 33 feet away, I think she's got a shot.
Now, after watching Caitlin Clark go all the way, and she's going to be the number one pick, the center for Purdue might be the number one pick in the NCAA and probably will make $10 to $15 million more than her a year.
Yes, the male, because.
And I don't even know his name.
Now, in defense of pay and so forth, it does go by viewership. So, I don't believe necessarily in equal pay for this type of thing, but certainly it shouldn't be a total deviation. I know in tennis it used to be that bad, but the Women's Association fought back, and now their purse is much larger. Same for golf. So it's a new day, and I was just so happy that they got that much viewership. Okay.
Everybody just wants to watch the Lady Cocks. I'm sorry. I've been drinking. Besides, I've had way too many NyQuils, and I just had my second hot toddy with some delicious bourbon in it.
Okay.
So I'm feeling kind of good.
Well, the next topic is all yours, and that is that the hockey finals are coming up because the season is ending.
The NHL playoffs begin on the 20th of August of this month, so that's just a couple days away. My Rangers still lead the league, trying to win the President's Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they lost the last two, they won last night. Sadly, your Capitals are most likely done. So
that's okay. Again, I'm not a huge hockey fan.
Yeah, and then we had baseball season is moving right along, which is always good. And we have, what else? Baseball season's moving right along. The NBA season is almost over, but
Who cares? I mean, really.
I had no idea. Maybe Caitlin Clark can play for the Pelicans.
She probably could.
Probably.
I mean, I've just never cared for the NBA, ever. So, then we had some news in golf. Did you know that?
No.
All right,
what is it? Masters?
yeah, the Masters is on, and essentially, I don't know how significant this type of statistic is personally, but according to the news, it is big, and that is the main man, Tiger Woods, for 24 straight years in a row, made the final cut, so we got to play on Saturday and Sundays.
Well, I mean, it's amazing for longevity. Like, I mean, you've been working at your job for how long?
27 years, almost 28.
Okay, so just imagine being in the top performers if you were a salesperson, being a top performer for 24 years in a row in 27. That's amazing. So, even though I'm not a golf fan, that's pretty impressive.
Well, just a few years ago, he ended up winning the Green Jacket in one of the most phenomenal turnarounds for an athlete, I mean, in my opinion, in history. Um, I was really happy for him. So, you touched upon baseball, but I got to go back to the uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
They're having a lot of trouble with the uniforms. And I think they need to just go back to what they were wearing before. Lord knows they got plenty of money to switch everything out.
Well, they said some teams, like the New York Yankees, their sweat stains show because they showed their outfielder, Aaron Judge, and he had just sweat rings all the way down his shirt at the end of the year. And it was on his collar, it was on his arms. It looked disgusting.
End of the game or end of the year?
No, just in the game.
Oh, during the game.
During the game, they just showed him, and it's just like, oh my God, he's so sweaty.
So the final sports talk is about what Wayne loves.
It's my passion.
And he was willing to give up watching his main game due to our vacation. But tell us about the USFL. Give us some facts.
The UFL. UFL.
I'm sorry.
Don't make that mistake.
Oh, I did.
Oh.
The UFL. So,
UFL.
Arden, tell me all about it.
So I've been watching the games, and so the DC United came back to win again, but it's because of like I told you last week about there's no onside kick. So they got the ball in.
I'm calling a timeout. Okay. You said DC United.
Oh,
that's
DC
the soccer team.
Oh, good correction. Thanks, NyQuil. So the DC Defenders, geez, I'm sweating right now. The Defenders were losing by quite a lot. And because of their new rule, you don't have to do an onside kick. You start off 4th and 12, and it's 4th and 12 from your 28-yard line, I think, or 26-yard line. I apologize. And you go. But you keep how many timeouts you have. So you still have to race up. Even if you get the first down, you have to start all over. It's not like, okay, you get the ball back and everything else. So you literally could run out of timeouts. Well, they scored again, and they got the ball, and they kicked a game-winning field goal. The kicking game has been absolutely ridiculous in this league. The young kid who kicked the 64-yarder kicked a 62-yarder last week. Like, the Defenders kicker has actually kicked 8 field goals in a row. It's not missed. But it's also interesting because people are complaining about the scores being down. It's because they have a running clock. So the game really only takes about 3 hours because, you throw a ball out of bounds, the clock keeps going. So the scores are lower, but it's more fun. The St. Louis Battlehawks had over 40,000 people in the crowd, which was more than any concert they had for the entire year. I'm assuming Taylor Swift didn't play there.
No.
Yeah, so that was pretty amazing. So my DC Defenders are 2-1 now. They haven't looked great, but hey, I'll take first place as of right now. on their way, and they beat the Renegades, who they lost to in the championship last year. So
Which
that,
was an
it
embarrassment.
was. We watched that up in New Jersey, and it was very sad. So I am going to let Abigail now talk about our trip because I really need something to drink before I start coughing a lot.
Yes, so Arden and I went to Paradise. We went to St. Thomas, which is part of the United States Virgin Islands. And we stayed at a boutique hotel called Bowie House, and it's in part of the autograph collection of the Marriott family.
What does that even mean, by the way? I didn't even know.
Well,
I thought it was a place you get autographs from people. I really did.
Well, Marriott has structured tiers. You have the town suites, you have the regular Marriotts, you have the JW Marriotts, and then of course you have Ritz-Carlton and another one. But anyways, the autograph collection kind of comes in the middle. It's a little classier than a standard Marriott, but not quite up to JW. But anyway, let's go back. We got a ride from the airport, and it was really obnoxious because the driver kept waiting to get more and more people before he would leave. Fortunately, we were the second stop to get off, but we had to hold on for our dear lives. These guys flying in 10-mile-an-hour zone, and it's mountainous there. The roads are very narrow, and driving like the Batman out of hell, wasn't it, Arden?
It was pretty bad. This one guy, and I will mention him by name, Cedric. He had like this 1970s van kind of thing with it had like a shag carpeting in there. His windshield, it was pouring rain. His windshield had a crack about 3/4 away. One of the windshield wipers wasn't even working, and it's pouring rain. I literally was scared that I was going to get hepatitis. Maybe that's where I got my cold from.
I think you did.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. And so, excuse me, but going even further back, before we even got there, I am absolutely terrified of flying. Abigail, and like, don't even mention putting me over the ocean. I've seen Lost. I know what happens when you fly over the ocean. So I didn't squeeze her hand because I would have broken it. I was just like, but yeah, she got me through.
You handled it just fine, Arden. We went to a pre-flight lounge and had a couple of alcoholic beverages ahead of time, and I think that helped.
6:30 in the morning, we're drinking.
Which is just so cool. Anyway, when we arrived, they had this awesome rum punch.
Oh, that's so good.
With pine. Oh, it was so delicious. So we got to drink those while we were checking in.
And they were free.
Yeah. Then we found out later that during the day they're free all day. So we always try to stop by and get some rum punch. And we went to a couple beaches, but really enjoyed the hotel itself. The pool was amazing. It's like paradise. And Arden, you're gonna post some of those pictures on your what's it called?
On X at crotchetyoldmen.com or at crotchetyoldmen. Yeah, and some of the pictures, we actually got some tough ones to look at because it was of Jeffrey Epstein's island.
That's right.
So I actually, because we took a sailboat out, we did some snorkeling. So, sadly, Abigail didn't get in to see any sea turtles, but for years I was terrified of sharks. But I had no problem. I manned up. I jumped in the water. I peed a lot in the water, like because I was scared.
Well, Arden, I wish you hadn't said that about the turtles because I was going to lie to people and say that I did see the turtle.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we did see it. But Abigail was amazing. She actually took some videos, lots and lots and lots of fish. But I loved it. And they made us a great dinner.
Yeah, and it was open bar. You can't beat that. Now, we also went on a night sailing cruise to watch the sunset. And I must say it was beautiful. And again, great food and open bar. Who couldn't have a good time?
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I didn't have to take a cab ride back, because that was absolutely evil.
Yeah, the cab rides were pretty ruthless, but I can say that's the most alcoholic beverages I've ever had this past week, and I think I'm over it, but I don't know. I don't know until tomorrow because I still feel it a little bit today.
Yeah. But Abigail was able to get over a fear herself.
Yes, I almost canceled this trip when I found out about the iguanas
Hmm.
because I hate lizards, even the little teeny ones. But an iguana is humongous.
Up to 6 feet long.
And we came across one, and I just kept my distance and tried not to panic. But then Arden told me there was a couple times where there was one that was 6 feet long up on a tree trunk, and I just walked right by it without noticing it.
And because they don't move. But there was also some happy animals. They had lots of stray cats that were ridiculously friendly. They would walk over to you, they'd meow at you, and let them pet you. But there was also one very unique animal that was in a bar, and I did take pictures of it. And it goes back to the South Carolina team. It was a big black rooster.
Wow.
Well,
How ironic how that meshes in there, Arden.
exactly. It goes all the way back to the big black rooster. And I will say rooster because I do not want to offend anybody. Because that was, I mean, it just walked through. It didn't crow. Look at me. It blank a doodle dude.
Well, not to make everyone
Uh,
jealous, but we had a oceanfront room. Um, the room was fantastic, especially the shower, wasn't it, Arden?
I love that shower. But I did have to say thank you to David. He was the concierge kid who hooked us up with the rum punch every time we came in. And
Yes.
I like to thank the dive team of Mike and what was the other guy's name? Rusty. And by the way, stereotype sailor. I'm Rusty. His throat was all a mess. He just jumped in, no problem in the water all the time. They said, "Hey, Rusty, check out what the tide's like," and he just jumps in the water. That's fine. So,
Speaking of jumping in the water, did you hear what happened on the Caribbean boat?
no.
So this one guy and his family got completely wasted, and they were in the hot tub apparently at 3:30 in the morning. Well, his father got very upset since he was so intoxicated that when they were walking back to their cabin, the kid said, "Well, what do you think of this?" And he jumped overboard in the middle of the night. And according to his dad, he's 21 years old and he's an excellent swimmer, so he's out there alive. Well, the Coast Guard gave up on it, and so did the cruise ship. But that's a something that people need to keep in mind of. If you're going to drink a lot, don't go near any railings where you're going to fall and kill yourself.
That's a very good safety tip. I am sorry, folks. I'm really out of it
He's
today.
doused up with a lot of medication.
It's
So,
bad.
but quickly there was one final thing. He's so afraid of flying, and when we were checking in, they asked us how much we
Oh,
weighed.
yeah.
Okay, so I knew when they said that it would be a very small plane because we had to stop back. Our initial flight was to Puerto Rico, San Jose's airport, but to get to it was only a 30-minute flight. But Arden, go ahead and say it.
There was 5 passengers and the pilot, and you could see the pilot. And he's like, "Hey, just you can take pictures, just not of me." And by the way, like, do you lie when they ask you, like, dude, how heavy are you? Like, I was like, I'm not going to tell you. I identify as a skinny person. Like, I was offended at first.
Fortunately, there was no shuffling of the bodies because, again, there were only what?
5.
5 seats for passengers.
Yeah.
It was a teeny propeller
So tiny. Yeah, on a propeller
plane.
plane.
I have not been on one that small. So, he stuck through it though, and I was really proud of him.
And Abigail just closed her eyes, then relaxed, while I just sat there going, "We're gonna die.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
did fall
die."
asleep on you, didn't I?
Yes, I thought we were gonna get eaten by a shark in the air. Don't ask me why.
Well, all I can say is, Arden, I'm really happy you got to come with me. I had a great time, and I think we passed, a big threshold in our relationship.
It was good, and now we know that we really don't argue that much. We could definitely, I could definitely tick her off though.
Yes, but I'm very
still,
forgiving. I'm
still
very
learning
forgiving.
my buttons. I'm allowed to push.
Well, I do have to end one more thing.
Okay, one more
The
thing.
famous drink at the U.S. Virgin Islands is called a bushwhacker.
Mm.
It's a dessert drink. It's got chocolate, Kahlua, and Bailey's, and you name it.
Amaretto.
And we went down to the lobby bar and just to get a quick bite, and I said, I want to try that drink. Well, it was delicious. It's a frozen drink. So the next night, I wanted to go by the same bar and get it again. But they had a putz for a bartender. He had no idea how to make one.
And he was a dork about it too. Like,
Right.
he's a
And
loser.
he, and essentially he tried based on this drunk lady's direction at the bar, and it came in ice cubes, and it was awful. And so I just walked away, and I went upstairs to the fancy restaurant to ask them if they could make me one. But lo and behold, they had no blender. So I am going to seek out a restaurant in Northern Virginia that can make a bushwhacker for me.
It's like a McDonald's chocolate shake that's spiked. That's the best way I can describe it.
It was dynamite.
It
So, anyway, I recommend that a trip is worth it there. I still favor Cayman Islands, but it was a toss up. Anything else, Arden?
No, hopefully I'll be 100% next time. Can't wait to talk to you all. And for our person in England who keeps listening to our show, hey, drop us a line at we are crotchetyoldmen at gmail.com. We are crotchetyoldmen at gmail.com. Also, our person in Baltimore and Illinois, and there was one other city, Arizona, that I saw last time. Just say hi. We want to know who you are. And anyone can reach out to us. We are crotchetyoldmen at gmail.com.
1 second.
Audio difficulties as per usual.
Yeah, there we go. Here's a little beach music to end out the show. Very relaxing.